Welcome to Fun and Fundraising, everybody, the podcast where we talk with people behind top nonprofit galas and signature fundraising events to showcase how they positively transform their communities. I'm your host, Rob Giardinelli, and today I'm excited to have two really special guests. So we have Kit Moncrief and Gloria Moncrief Holmsten, and they are the co-founders of a wonderful organization called the Saving Hope Foundation. And they do a unique fundraiser to raise money for their organization. They actually create a book. And they do a lot of work with animals, and we're going to talk a little bit about the content of the book, but it's a really fun, unique, innovative way to really connect with people in a community and raise lots of funds for an organization. So I couldn't think of two better guests than Kit and Gloria to have this conversation with. So with that, Kit, Gloria, welcome, and we are so excited to have you both here today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, Kit, could you talk a little bit about what the mission of Saving Hope Foundation is?
Our mission is really to save as many animals as possible through adoption or spay, neuter, and vaccinate and chip, and educate people on their animals, on how to take care of them and how to be safe with them and how to appreciate them.
I'm glad you brought up that last part about appreciating animals, because animals often really wind up being, being a part of the family. And, before we get into kind of your passion for animals, I'd love to hear from Gloria for a second as to, what motivated you and your mother to start this foundation and really, really advance the good for animals in the community.
Well, it's the wonderful story of Hope, the dog. She was our motivation. Bless her heart, she was found in the middle of July on a 100+ degree day, running around on our ranch in Weatherford, Texas. Our ranch foreman spotted the dog, spotted Hope, and noticed immediately that she was in distress. Some of the ranchers got on horseback and were able to round her up, literally. And when they picked her up, they realized that her mouth had been taped closed with electrical black tape. She was bleeding pretty much everywhere because she had been stabbed over a dozen times. We were called immediately and knew what was going on at the time, and they rushed Hope to the wonderful vet in Weatherford, Texas, who saved her life. The story of this event was all over the news, local news, and hit many newspapers across the country. And there was an incredible outreach of support for Hope. And people started sending money to Weatherford, to the vet, to help with her treatment. And my parents, Kit, on here with us today, and my father, Charlie, told the vet, we want to take her once she's well, we want to adopt her, and we'll pay for her treatment. And the vet said, well, we have all this other money. What should we do? And that was what motivated us to take the money and to start the fund so that we could help other dogs just like Hope. And that's really where it started. And so the whole foundation was named after her and started that summer after she arrived home to my parents' house. And she is still alive and a wonderful, sweet dog. And we have raised millions and millions of dollars in her honor and saved thousands of animals. And we're just, it was really kind of a blessing that it even happened and it came to us, but it's all because of her.
Wow, that's really a powerful story. I mean, there's so many elements that, basically it's almost like the community gave you all seed money to start this foundation and for you to have raised millions out of that. And, a lot of folks sometimes when they say, what do we do with the money? Sometimes it gets returned. Sometimes it just goes to the clinic. But what I really appreciate about that story was you thought bigger than that and how you could more widely impact to save, hundreds, if not thousands of other dogs like Hope out there. And I think it's just really cool that you took that initiative to go and do, because not everybody would. So I really admire both of you greatly for doing that.
We had to turn something bad into something good.
Fantastic. And that's really exactly what you did. You created a triumph out of tragedy. And I think that's amazing. And, you had mentioned, when Gloria was telling that story about the ranch. So talk about your passion with animals and helping animals? Because, we have listeners that are not necessarily from Texas and not really as familiar with what happens on ranches and why animals are so important to many people who have ranching backgrounds. So I'd love for Kip for you to start, and then Gloria, you can chime in.
Well, ranching, of course, you raise horses and cattle, but unfortunately, people drop dogs on your ranch that they don't want. So we're constantly getting those. But the dogs on the ranch are important, and we've adopted a lot of the dogs that have been dropped on the ranch. But on Hope's case, and the sheriff department also was very important in saving Hope. Also, I mean, it just became a community thing. But the love for animals is deep in all of my family's life. And I'm co-chairman of the board of the zoo. So I love all types of animals, and I like animals a lot better than I like some people. I mean, it's just, they're kinder, and they're your best friend. And, everybody should have one or be around them, because they're just add so much to everybody's life.
They absolutely do. And Gloria, I'd love for you to share, your passion with helping animals, from your family's background with ranching as well.
Yes, I mean, I think one of the best definitions of ranching and ranching heritage is taking care of the land and the animals that live on it. And that is such an important piece of our family and our ranching business, and what we love about it and what we're passionate about for it. And so that's every animal. That's the horses, the cattle, the dogs that help work the cattle, the cowboys and the cowgirls. But it's every animal that lives on your ranch, and everything that needs food and water and all the things that ranchers do to maintain, these beautiful spaces. I mean, you really do it for the animals. And so I think that background, and of course, my mother and both of our involvement with the zoo, but especially her and her family, for many generations, this has been very important to us. And so I think the passion for and love for animals does come from being outdoors and being on ranches your whole life, but and you just appreciate it. You learn how to appreciate animals and what they need. And, ranchers are taken care of by their animals. I mean, it's your livelihood. Your horse gets you where you need to go, and your cattle feed you, and they feed others. And the grass has to grow to feed the cattle. I mean, it's the circle of life. And you need the dogs to help you with all this. So, we all have the love, but it really does stem from the ranching heritage. Absolutely. And, that's also so important to Fort Worth and our culture here, and of course, across the state of Texas as well. So we appreciate that.
Absolutely. And for anyone not as familiar with Fort Worth, the nickname for it is Cowtown. So, I mean, there are literal events that, we've written about for the magazine or covered, that it will be the Cowtown Ball or the Cowtown. So cattle is an extremely important part of the Fort Worth legacy. So Gloria, I really appreciate you mentioning that. And then speaking of Fort Worth, I want to talk about this wonderful book you've created, Hope and Friends, because it's one of the, every so often I really get moved and I'm like, wow, that's just really cool, and more people need to know about this. And this book is really one of them that I got as a gift from Kelsey Patterson, who I know is a dear friend of both of yours, who runs the Big Good in Fort Worth and has also been a guest on this show. So she had said, I absolutely need to know about you all. So I'm really glad you're here and you took the time. And I love, and feel free to whomever would like to go first, but how did you all come up with the concept of this annual book? And the book is called Hope and Friends. But tell us a little bit about the book and, how you developed and created it.
Well, other people do books on their children and stuff, and as a calendar, but we thought we could do it with animals. And people love their animals, so we thought they would love having pictures of their animals, and that way we could raise money to save other animals. Well, we now have pictures of their animals with their children or just their animals, but it's been wonderful. And it's, I think, encouraged people to adopt or to help to fund to spay and neuter and vaccinate chip. And we've been very blessed to have people underwrite it. So 100% of it goes straight back to the animals. And so it's great for that, and it's so great and people love doing it, and they love seeing their dogs' pictures in the book, or their cats or their horses, and so it's really opened up a whole new world.
That's fantastic. And Gloria, I'd love for you to, add to anything that you want to add to what your mother said. But also, Kit brought up the part about underwriting. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on how did you get underwriters to say yes to something that's really a unique concept? There aren't really nonprofits out there doing books. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about how you were able to work with underwriters to get them to agree to underwrite this book and kind of, your success with that.
Well, it's written on the book that it's the Hiley family that underwrites the book, and they do it every year. And they are just dear friends, wonderful people, and animal lovers. And they like the idea of it. And, we thought it was really important that 100% of the funds that we raise by selling the pages for the book do go straight to the animals. And the Hileys agreed. I mean, they're so kind to do that, but it does make a difference. And I think that's important when, you write a check, you're buying a page, you're highlighting your favorite pet, but you're also giving back and helping to save other lives. And, that's the idea. And the wonderful thing about the book is that every year we also get to tell the stories of animals we've saved. So in the first, 10 or 15 pages, you get to read about these incredible stories, which, are so tragic to begin with, but then end so happy. So you get to talk about the mission and you get to share everybody else's love with their pets. And, this is a concept, of course, the Jewel Charity Ball book in Fort Worth does it with people's children. I mean, it's been such a great idea and concept. We really directly copied the Aspen Animal Shelter is who puts out a annual calendar, and they sell pages, and that's how their fundraising effort for their shelter in Aspen. And so we can't take total credit for the idea. We took someone else's really great idea and just brought it to Fort Worth. But I do like how we showcase the stories and highlight, the problems in the community, because that's another thing, is that this is a full-time fight. I mean, people really do harm animals every day. And that's what the mission, we've got to have that stop. People have got to take care of their animals from beginning to end, and spreading that mission and spreading these stories to, make sure everybody knows what's really going on. And dogs die in the shelter every single day. I mean, they're put to sleep because there's not enough space to house them. And that devastates us. I mean, that keeps my mom and I up at night. I mean, if we could adopt every single one of them, we would. And so we don't want them to end up in the shelters. We don't want them to be abused. And so it's important that, annually we're highlighting these stories and at the same time celebrating everybody's pets. And not all, but a lot of the animals in the book have been adopted through Saving Hope now. So that's also so great that, we're showcasing the dogs that we've saved and someone else has helped us save. So it's fun. It's neat. And it's great. It raises a lot of money every year.
That's fantastic. Go ahead, Kit.
Then the spay neuter part is so important. We found one unspayed female can have 67,000 offspring in her lifetime. So most of those, if somebody doesn't spay and neuter them, end up in shelters or run over, or because her puppies have puppies. The boys have lots of puppies. So it's just people, if they could just spay and neuter and be responsible, would save so many lives.
That's, it's an important part that you brought up, Kit, and I'm glad you both brought them up. And there was one thing, Gloria, that you said that I really appreciated you saying, and that is you saw someone else do an event and you utilize your event. And I've said this frequently on this show, is there's no such thing as an original event or an original idea. You take from a bunch of different events and different ideas and you create your own, because I know that whatever is going on in Aspen, they have their own specific needs in their community. There may be some that are similar, but there may be some that are very different in Fort Worth versus Aspen. And I want to talk a little bit about, because you both have brought up, and Kit, I'll have you start with this question. There are a lot of different ways that organizations can do fundraising events. So like your friend Kelsey Patterson with the Big Good, they do a gala. You all decided that a book would be the best track for you. What were some of the reasons Saving Hope decided, I'm going to do a book for a signature fundraising event as opposed to a gala?
Well, I think people, if they look at a book, it keeps reminding them. And we didn't do a calendar like Aspen. We made a hard copy book so it would be out there and would so people could be reminded all the time. I think that was the most important. And people love doing it. And I mean, they like seeing pictures of their animals. So I think that's why it's been successful.
That's fantastic. And Gloria, would you want to chime in on anything, just in terms of, why it was important for you all to utilize a book as opposed to doing, a gala?
Well, I think, like my mother said, I mean, these books are beautiful. And, one of the things that we do every year also is highlight a really neat artist on the cover. And that's been, one of the signature items here. And we have, secured some really neat artists for these covers, and they've been so beautiful. So we'd hoped that people would have a collection of these coffee table books, and so that you're constantly reminded. And then when people come into your home, they see the books, they like the book, they want to be a part of it, they think about adopting dogs. It's just something that you can have in your home and you can love and appreciate and enjoy. And I think, there are a lot of galas. So this was different and unique. And what's come from that is, spreading the awareness. But the events that we like to have are adoption events and spay neuter events. So that's what we want and ask people to come to. And that's the other part of Saving Hope Foundation and the Saving Hope Rescue Group, that there are adoption events all the time. Come meet our dogs and come pick one up and adopt. So those are the events that we want people going to. We actually want to physically be saving lives when we do stuff together. So
that's a beautiful, I mean, that really is, it's a beautiful answer. And it really shows that your leadership has really, you see it carry through very, very clearly in your answers. And it actually kind of dovetails, and you've both kind of touched upon it, but I want to dive a little bit more deeply into it. But I'd love to know how you all utilize the book as part of the overall marketing strategy of doing community outreach through the various things that you do. And either one of you feel free to go first with this one.
Well, I think the book is out. I mean, it can be in a doctor's office or something. And so it gets more people of aware. And also people think that they have to have a purebred dog. Well, the shelter has plenty of purebred dogs if they want one. And there's adoptions for purebred golden retrievers, like Kelsey got hers from. So they don't know, it's an awareness that they don't know. And also we have a standalone veterinary clinic where we do the free spay, neuter, vaccinate, and chips, where anybody can bring them in and get their dog fixed in an area where there are a lot of dogs that they don't have that opportunity, and there's not a vet. So I think the book helps, and the awareness that the book spreads all over helps. And it's been really good. We've gone into schools with education programs, and that's a great an awareness.
That's fantastic. And Gloria, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
yes, I think, social media is a friend of animal welfare. And we advertise the book through social media. Of course, as Mom mentioned, at local stores, doctor's offices, you name it. I mean, when it's visible, people think about it. And so, we're able to advertise the book on social media, but also the stories, and also the rescue events, and also the spay neuter event and the free spay neuter opportunities. So it's just a great tool to help spread the message of hope and get the awareness out there to everybody.
That's great. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that answer. And, while we're on kind of the subject of the book and the outreach, there's also the outreach to the individual family. So you had mentioned you have a generous underwriter, which allows for basically everything else to be, for funds to be made. So I love to hear, just because I know people can be private. So, when a family is featured on, in a book, in print, it's out there for the whole world to see. So I'd love to hear how you all work with, pet owners and families so that they feel comfortable, sharing their stories in these books. Some of them are very moving, out to the Fort Worth community and beyond.
Well, some of them, some people don't care to share. But I feel like, in this particular instance, when we're talking about animal abuse and when people rescue an animal that's been hurt and, you have something tragic turn into something so good, they are eager to share. And we want them to share. And we ask, of course, permission. And then people love the dogs that they adopt from us, and they're excited to give back. And, adoption fees are not high. It's not expensive to adopt one of our dogs. And so they find a way to give back. And we do ask that, when they adopt a dog, please spread the message. Please tell your friends to adopt a dog. Here's our next adoption event. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram. That all word of mouth, of course, helps so much. And that's why we've just been able to continue to reach broader and broader groups of people. And, our rescue effort, we have rescued over 5,000 dogs and cats since its inception. And, the rescue part of this is run by one of our board members, Lauren Anton, and she just does an incredible job. And in fact, we're about to open a rescue ranch in Aledo. And so you can actually go and see a lot of our animals will be out there. It's a sanctuary for older dogs that nobody wants anymore. It's going to be a wonderful, lovely place with a full-time vet. And so there will actually be a place to go for Saving Hope now. And, we just continue to grow things because of the community outreach and people giving back constantly. And it's been so wonderful. People really support us so well.
The ranch sounds beautiful. Kit, I would love for you to share a little bit more about how that ranch for the older dogs, came to be. That just sounds like a really wonderful space.
Well, I was going to just say, and we also raise money. We've raised $4.4 million that goes some to that, but also goes to the free spay neuter, which is very expensive to run your own clinic. So we get donations outside the book, which is so important, from foundations and individuals. That enables us to keep a free vet clinic open. And Gloria can talk more about the ranch.
Yes. So the rescue ranch, it's fabulous. It's in Aledo, like I talked. It's opening April 28th, a week Monday.
Wow.
Yes.
Soon.
So we're going to have a big opening event on April 28th. And the rescue part of the foundation is running this, which is wonderful. Of course, we're very involved. But like I said, Lauren Anton is really the lady in charge over there, and we support that. And 100% of the proceeds from the book go to the rescue effort. And as my mom just mentioned, we raise additional funds outside the book for the spay neuter and for everything. But we're highlighting in the book the rescue effort and talking about spay neuter and everything in education. And so the funds from that book really are dedicated to the rescue effort, which I think is really important. And so our shelters are packed. There's not enough space. Fort Worth Animal Shelter, Humane Society of North Texas, there's just physically not enough space. And this has been an issue that we've been working on since the beginning. And so to found this property and to have come together as a community and gotten support to raise funds for a rescue ranch and to have a full-time vet is going to be so significant for the organization and for these animals. So, it's so close to Fort Worth. There's going to be an event out there every week for rescue. And so it's just going to be great, really great.
That sounds beautiful. And especially, a nice sanctuary for older dogs that they can be in a nice environment. And older dogs can make great companions, especially for, folks who are elderly and may not have as much energy. They're great companions. So, I'm really glad that you all are,
Yes.
you all are doing
And they're
that.
potty trained and ready to go. They're going to be loved. Older dogs, they get, we have so many mom dogs that have had babies and everybody wants the puppies and nobody wants the mom.
Yeah.
So it'll break your heart, but so we'll have lots of mommies out there and they just want to be loved too. And a lot of times dogs are put down at the shelter just simply because they're old and unwanted. So that's another stigma that we're trying to get rid of. When you adopt a pet, it is for life, for your life and their life. And So that's really important to us. So this will be a wonderful, wonderful place to visit. It'll be a happy experience to come and adopt your dog or cat. So we're just really blessed that that's all come together and really excited about it. April
That's
28th in Aledo.
that is soon. That is super soon. In fact, it will have already happened by the time the podcast is aired, and I know it will be a fantastic, fantastic event. And with that, I do want to talk a little bit about, because one thing we've kind of talked about, but we haven't really talked specifically yet, is how the book helps you all create ongoing relationships with donors and families to really kind of keep them in the family, so to speak, or keep them in the Hope and Friends family. And Kit, I'd love for you to start, and then Gloria, you can chime in after Kit shares.
I think animal lovers like each other. So I think when you meet people that love animals, you like them immediately. And so it's just an instant friendship with all of these people that have these wonderful pets or want to have pets. It's just a bond there, I think. And and people want to keep putting their dogs in the book every year, or their cats, or their whatever animal they have. And I just think really nice people have animals. So it's a very nice group of people to be around, and they're very loving and caring.
That was the most succinct way I've ever heard anyone talk about why dog owners, gel together. It's just, there's a very similar essence and spirit between the two. And that was the perfect response, Kit. And, Gloria, I wanted to see if you could maybe share some instances with the book about how it's helped bring in new families, or maybe a story or an instance that you may have heard of how it's brought in a new family or new families to adopt animals, whether they're dogs or cats or any other type of animal in the Fort Worth area.
I think a great example of that is my children's school, which is Fort Worth Country Day, who has been incredibly supportive of Saving Hope and our mission from the beginning. But one of the ways I spread the mission, and my girls do, is we get the teachers engaged. And they're poor teachers every year, we're coming, but I'm like, can I please highlight your pet? Do you have a pet? Will you adopt a pet? Country Day does a big fundraising effort every year, and kids are asked to bring dog food or dog toys for Saving Hope. So that's just a little example of, there's new parents every year, there's new teachers every year. You start reaching one at a time, and that person talks to someone else, and that person talks to someone else. And so, that's just what we do personally as a school, but and a family. But, then you meet people at the rescue events, and people move into town and they hear about Saving Hope and they want a dog. And, everywhere my mom and I are, if somebody brings up a pet, we're like, well, have you adopted? There's so many at the shelter. Can you adopt a dog? And, we're constantly sending pictures. And so really word of mouth, but, people, when they love their experience and love their animal because of their experience, they start talking about it. So that's so important, that I really think we have a great experience and people love their animals. And so they're excited to help us, and they talk about it. And so more people get involved. So it's great.
The headmaster at the school has a Saving Hope dog that he brings to school every day.
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. And does it interact with the children then at the school?
Yes. And his name is CD Falcon, which is Fort Worth Country Day, and we're the Falcon. So it's Country Day Falcon is his name, CD Falcon. And everybody knows him really well, and he's so sweet, but he is a Saving Hope dog. So, the school's been just incredible. So wonderful. And it's just another great example. So everybody knows the headmaster's dog around campus, and all the kids go home and say, we need a dog from Saving Hope. And we're like, yes, you do. Please come adopt one.
That's a recruitment effort if I haven't ever thought of one. Gosh, that's really good. So, I'd love for you both to share a little bit about what people can expect from this year's Hope and Friends book. So, Kit, I'd love for you to start, and then Gloria, feel free to chime in afterward.
Well, every year, as Gloria said, we have a different artist. We've had everybody from very famous artists, from Bob Wade to President Bush, have had their pictures on it. And this year we have a local person, Annie Guerin, that's going to do the cover. Her father was Secretary of the Army, but she's very talented, and it's fun. And its picture will be of the dog that was rescued to be the Fort Worth dog that went around everywhere. And he is now retired. I believe he has a type of cancer. So he was really just something that broke the ice, because he went with the mayor and he went with the police everywhere to teach people not to be afraid of animals and dogs. And so it's really a great story. And he opened so many eyes and ears and thoughts about animals from coming from a different world.
That was beautiful. Gosh, that was a beautiful. I mean, I love that you incorporate artists, and may Bob Daddy O'Wade rest in peace. I knew him,
He was wonderful.
what a wonderful, one of a kind guy. I actually went to a birthday party with him once at the Aristocrat in Austin, which has a poodle, ironically enough, drawn on the outside of it. So it just goes to show what a small world it is. Gloria, what are you looking forward to with this year's book?
The stories. I love the stories every year, and highlighting what's going on and what we've been able to do and accomplish, and talking about how many lives we saved. I mean, it does make you feel good. I mean, we worry about the animals all the time, and it makes you feel good to know how many you've saved, and that the effort really means something, and that you are saving lives every day. So I like that. And I like, I like adding it to my collection too. I mean, they look great in my house. They're here on my office coffee table as well. I mean, it's fun to add to the collection and for everybody to be talking about it. And I think that, the special artist on the cover is always such a highlight. Like Mom was talking about, Henry, who will be on the cover this year, was such a face for the animals in Fort Worth, and did such an incredible job as a service dog for Fort Worth. And so highlighting service dogs is also important. My daughter has a service dog. So I love highlighting that and talking about that, because, my daughter's dog does so much for her and is vital to her life. And so many people have that too. So it's wonderful to just be able to tell these stories and get the awareness and just continue the conversation, because sadly, it's never going to end. We're always going to need more money, and there's always going to be dogs and cats to save. So we just always got it. We got to do it every year, and we got to make it better and better.
It is. It's so fun. And it's so fun to meet these people when they have their pictures made with their dogs. I mean, they're so excited, and it's really very rewarding. But it's also, like Gloria says, the more you do, you see, the more you need to do, because it's out there. You have to spay, neuter, vaccinate, chip, and educate and adopt. I mean, we have to do it all. So we just have to keep working harder.
That's great. And it's important to do. And I know we're coming up on time here, so I want to end with one question. And I ask this of all my guests, but I'm particularly interested just because of the signature fundraising you do being a little bit different. And we'll have Gloria answer first, and then we'll have Kit answer. And that is, what is one successful thing all nonprofit fundraisers have in common?
Passion.
That's a mic drop word if I haven't thought about it. And your passion for both of you has really rung through a lot over the last half hour or so. So perfect answer. And Kit, I know you're going to have a perfect answer as well. What's one thing you feel that all successful nonprofit fundraisers have in common?
You have to love what you do, and you have to be willing to work for it.
Love, passion, work. I think we have to make that a hashtag, because that sounds, those three words are absolutely perfect. So, Kit, Gloria, thank you both so much for being guests today. I really enjoyed our conversation and just the really unique, innovative way that you all fundraise. So thank you both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And for more information about the Saving Hope Animal Rescue and the 2024 Hope and Friends book, please visit saving-hope.org. And that will do it for this episode of Fun and Fundraising. I'm your host, Rob Giardinelli, reminding you to keep it fun, keep it interesting, and your guests will have a great time. Have a great day, everyone, and take care.